Good afternoon. It is now Saturday afternoon. We are on episode 2 of the Third Wheel podcast. I am once again Caleb, joined by my fantastic co-host, Shaps.
How you doing?
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. So, I was thinking on our first episode, it went really phenomenal. Now, you as a viewer may disagree, and you may actually say, Caleb, why are you doing this again? The first one was terrible. To that I say, I had a lot of fun. So, I'm so down for episode 2. How do you feel?
I was telling Caleb, why are we doing this again? It was so terrible.
It sucked the first time. Why are we doing this?
Don't make me do it again.
Yeah. But I enjoyed our dynamic. I hope y'all, as the viewers, agree. All 4 of you that are listening, because the 5th guy I talked about last week decided not to come back. So, yeah, I'm enjoying this. I think we had a lot to talk about, and I think we still do. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping this keeps going.
And hey, send in suggestions. We would appreciate that as well.
Absolutely. And then I'd love to do a Q&A. My buddy gave me some really, really inappropriate questions that I could have addressed here on the show. Oh. So at some point on my Instagram, I'll probably ask, hey, what do y'all want to ask me anything? And
sure.
I might have to either PG or rate G some of the questions, but it'll still get the point across.
Then we make a second podcast powered by like Patreon or something where we just release a full uncut version.
Yeah, let me put a disclaimer out there. Last week's episode was not sponsored by Pepsi, even though we did talk about Starry. That just generic can looking soda that tasted okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would love a sponsor, but I understand we're probably may never get a sponsor. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not about the money. It's about having fun. And I had fun last week. So I'm hoping this week's podcast will also provide me lots of joy. We'll see. I think I wanted to talk about last week. We just didn't get to it. I wanted to talk about Black Adam, the movie. So mainly box office. Again, I love box office. I love a studio laying out their whole plan for the next 10 years, and the very next movie they release flops. And that's what happened to Black Adam. Tell you what, it did not make enough money. Now, Chaps, did you see the movie yet?
I have not seen the movie.
Okay, so we're going into this completely blind.
I'm actually a DC fan, so I'm surprised I haven't seen it.
Yeah, because I remember, so I think the last movie you and I saw together was The Suicide Squad that came out.
It was either that or the Schneider Cut. I think we saw the Schneider Cut.
Oh, I'm talking about theaters.
Oh, in theaters?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're right. We did watch the Schneider Cut together. 4 hours of just more of what you love. You know what I mean?
Dude.
If you hated Justice League, then you'll hate Snyder Cut just as much.
But I actually really liked the film.
I love the original Justice League, not because it was good, but because it was terrible. And then they gave me a 4-hour cut on HBO Max, and I was like, heck yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, Snyder Cut was really good. It had a bunch of characters that were cut out and some really good sequences.
And the Suicide Squad, that was probably one of my favorite movies that year. So
yeah, I mean, you and I went and saw it in theaters, even though they were going to drop out on HBO Max, but they had like a couple days in theaters, or maybe it was a regular.
I rewatched
release.
a couple times, and I watched all of Peacemaker. So
Peacemaker was phenomenal.
Well, very underrated.
So good. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say underrated. I think it got all the praise it deserved.
I don't hear anyone talk about it, but that's good to know.
Well, I mean, that was over a year ago now.
Sure.
So anyway,
Black Adam.
Yeah, Black Adam. So when we saw the trailer for Black Adam, when we were watching the Suicide Squad, you're like, oh, it's got Dr. Fate in it, which Dr. Fate, if you don't know, he's the DC equivalent of Doctor Strange.
More like superior. But
yeah, but you wouldn't know that based on the film, because the film did not.
I'm assuming he's in there for, 10 minutes?
No, he's in there for the full thing, and there's this whole heroic moment for not just Black Adam, but all those Justice League characters that were in it, they got their time to shine.
Sure.
And I'll give the movie's credit. I thought it was balanced well. It's just the main subject matter, the main hero, the villain, generic.
Really?
Generic. It's your by the books. Even The Rock. I love The Rock. I actually think he's a decent actor. You have to step up a bit to go from wrestling to actor, and I think he's got so much charisma that did not bleed into this film at all. I mean, they made him serious. They said, don't smile, don't be happy, don't be The Rock, be this boring character that, just wasn't that interesting. There's also, I did say earlier I thought the movie was balanced story-wise, but there was a part where I thought the movie was over because this movie came out a while ago, so nobody saw it. If you're worried about spoilers, sorry, but I'm not gonna spoil it that much. It's just There's a whole part that I thought was the ending where Black Adam gets imprisoned, and the guy narrating, he's like, "Oh, if we need him again, we'll call him." Like they do the generic, I can't wait for the Justice League movie.
Isn't that what they did with what's her name, Captain Marvel? Over at the end of the movie, they were like,
I'll be honest with you, all the Marvel movies do the same thing. We're like, well, if we need him again, we'll call him for that Avengers movie coming out. But this one, they had that scene where like, well, if we need him, we'll call on him. And then the movie kept going. I was like, okay. And then he breaks out, and then he beats the villain. But like, I thought the movie was over. I was like, finally, I get to walk out of this theater. And it kept going. And then there was a whole nother plot after that. I was like, what the heck are they doing?
Is Shazam in it at all?
No.
Really?
No.
That's bold.
Yeah. No, I agree. Now the cameo at the end, right?
I think what
they put Superman.
Superman's in,
and it was Henry Cavill, which
oof,
pour a drink out from my boy here.
This is my me pulling on my collar here.
Yeah, man, that little backflip you just did. I wish everyone could have saw that. Henry Cavill was so excited. Apparently. Everyone who was involved in Black Adam was so excited. Like The Rock wants to be in a superhero movie. He was talking about how man, like I can't wait to go toe to toe with Superman. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for that. He wants to fight Shazam. And then he's talking about Henry Cavill. He wanted to be Superman. He's been fighting to be Superman for the past 8 years.
Yeah.
Like Batman v Superman came out a long time ago now, and it sucked. But that's a whole other thing.
Sure.
He's been fighting to stay Superman ever since, and they finally announced it. He's excited. He leaves The Witcher to be Superman, and then the following week he gets canceled, and he's not Superman anymore.
To be fair, don't feel too bad about him. He gets to fulfill his dream of being a space marine. I have to respect that.
What movie are you talking about?
He is a huge Warhammer fan.
Oh,
and he actually made a deal with Amazon to create a Warhammer show.
Now, this is the same Amazon that made that terrible Rings of Power show, right?
Yes, but it's also the same Amazon that... No, you're right.
I'm waiting.
I was like, it has to be a good show. No, they made a couple good shows.
They made The Boys, and I know you did want to talk about that a bit, but sidetrack, we're on Black Adam. We can switch to that later.
So, yeah... That's really interesting. And here's the thing. Knowing our track record, I'm probably going to be a little bit easier on the film whenever I get around to seeing it.
Are you actually going to go watch it?
Not in theaters.
It's too late now.
Yeah, it's right now.
It's on HBO Max.
That's true. It's weeks later. But I might go see it. I've never been interested in Black Adam as a character, but I'm always willing to see, like the DC movies, just to show my support.
Well, I love Shazam so much because that character
was amazing.
It was so good. And I love that. Like we talked about last week with Avatar, it has that aspect of if I saw it when I was 9 and I'm watching this kid have superpowers, that was so cool.
They did it really well.
That ignited the kid in me. It was like, man, I want to run outside and jump off a building and yell Shazam. You know what I mean? I love that movie.
100%.
And there's none of that here in Black Adam. Zero.
Different. Obviously, even from the trailers, you can tell it's a totally
different tone. And that's a smart thing to do because it's supposed to be a different character, the opposite of Shazam.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't handled well. And I think, James Gunn now being in charge, creator of Guardians of the Galaxy IP that Marvel loves to taunt and flaunt around.
Yeah.
He's going to be taking over DC. I'm excited about that. I know everyone's mad at him for canceling all the movies that were coming out. But honestly, they've had years and years and years to make Henry Cavill Superman and to make it cool, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So now James Gunn comes in. He's like, okay, we're starting over. We're probably going to scrap Aquaman, the third one. Wonder Woman's out. All that's done. They had their time to make good movies, and they just made failure after failure. They're pumping out these big budgets for movies that were not going to make that money back.
I see. I liked a lot of them though.
I did too.
Shazam was great. I actually really liked Wonder Woman, the first one. And what was the other one? Aquaman, I hear was really good.
Aquaman was really good. It was very enjoyable.
Oh, there was one other one I really liked.
There's I know you like the Snyder Cut, and I liked it too.
I did like the Snyder Cut.
I was joking earlier. I did enjoy that. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about, let's see, Shazam. We talked about that. You like Shazam?
Yeah, unless I'm that's all of them. I'm pretty sure I liked one more. But yeah, I was a fan of what DC eventually turned into. I mean, it's still a conglomerate of just a bunch of ideas that don't make sense, when you put it all together. But singly, by themselves, I think they did pretty well. Well, I'm glad to hear that he's at least throwing some fresh paint at it.
It needs, you have to at this point.
It needs one mind. The Justice League is such an interesting concept, and it obviously it's just a copy of Marvel, right? But no, like these characters are different.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's not like they're just carbon copies,
Right.
of each other. Like
The
Batman
problem
is
is Warner
so
Brothers.
much different than Iron Man.
Yeah, Warner Brothers tried to make it like Marvel.
Yeah,
they tried to
exactly.
limit these characters what they could have been to follow the Marvel formula. That's been talked about to death. Like, that's not really the aim of this one. I want to talk about the box office because this movie did not make its money back, and The Rock has been on Instagram like, box office numbers don't matter. You're so full of crap, Dwayne. All the studio cares about is making money.
I don't know why he's such a rough about it. Like he's gonna be in every movie ever from now on.
Yeah,
he always has been. He always will.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that Hercules movie that came out in 2014.
Oh my!
I went to see it just for him because.
Oh my gosh!
Was the movie good? No, but but he was good in it. Gosh darn it!
Yeah.
Dang niblets. Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for everyone involved in that because Henry Cavill's been wanting to stay Superman.
He's such a wholesome person.
He is. Like that whole interview, where like, are you a Xbox or PlayStation fan? Oh, PC. Bro, it's such a cool guy. He's one of us.
No, honestly, yeah, he's like the what's his name? He almost like a Paul Rudd almost, or just super relatable.
Oh
like,
yeah. Honestly, they just need to scoop up all those actors and bring them over to Marvel. They've been talking, it's probably just rumor, but they've been talking about Lobo, making a Lobo movie and just having Jason Momoa play Lobo. That'd be kind of...
Okay, I can see that.
I mean, like, keep the actors, at least some of them. They don't have to be the
Oh my
ones.
God, he'd be great Lobo.
Oh yeah,
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I haven't even read a Lobo comic, but he looks just like him. And like,
100%.
and like the video games Lobo's in, like, I mean... I see Jason Momoa as I look at Lobo. So, anyway.
So, box records, how does that compare to, say, what's like the biggest DC flop, or singular DC flop?
Justice League.
No, like
the theatrical
individual. It's about one hero. Standalone.
I want to say Wonder Woman 2, which that's not the official title.
Sure.
But that came out during COVID because the movie was delayed several times, and then when they were finally going to release it, COVID happened, and then they kept pushing it back until eventually they said we're just going to put it on HBO Max.
Sure.
By the time all the money was spent, and then theaters aren't open, so
yeah, same thing happened with Black Widow, I think.
Yeah, and that led to a whole thing that pissed me off, where she was suing them, but they resolved it. So, thank you.
Yeah. So wow, so could this be like the biggest DC flop, like standalone DC flop, like
Talking about Black Adam?
Yeah, Black
No,
Adam.
it's just a clear-cut example of like the studio not getting their stuff together, announcing all these movies that are not going to happen now. Like it just I talked about it last week. It was. They lay out their whole slate, but the first movie on that slate, if it fails or succeeds, that'll determine whether the rest of the slate goes forward. So it pisses me off when they list like a 10-movie plan, but that whole plan is dependent on the very next movie doing well, and so that very next movie doesn't do well, so that whole slate gets thrown out.
Sure.
And that's what happened here. Like, not only did they throw out the slate, but like everyone got fired. Like, I mean, I think The Rock will come back as Black Adam for Shazam. I think Shazam's still gonna be fine, but we'll see.
Is James Gunn continuing Shazam?
According to Zachary Levi, yes.
Okay.
Zachary Levi said we're all good. He likes. I mean, that movie already fit in like a James Gunn type universe.
I feel like because they never actually show Superman's face, so literally you could just insert him right in.
I think Dwayne will stay Black Adam because they got to fight Shazam eventually. But I mean, they did this whole thing. Like I said, they just laid it all out, and then the very next movie on that slate failed. Now they got to cancel the whole slate.
Right.
All the actors are being replaced. Gal Gadot's not. Gal Gadot. She's no longer Wonder Woman. They're talking Aquaman's up in the air. Henry Cavill's not Superman anymore. I mean, Batman's been through the ringer.
My gosh.
Oh, that movie you're trying to think of earlier, was that the Batman or the Joker? One of those?
No, because those are great.
Yeah, those are phenomenal.
Well, yeah, but I guess, yeah, you're right. Joker was what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Phenomenal movie.
Fantastic. So, yeah.
So, like, okay, I just want, like, my biggest wish, is that sometime in my life I get a great Justice League movie with all the characters who had their own movie. Like, kind of like what Marvel did, but something unique with it. I think James Gunn is the right guy to do it. He's really good when you don't have him on a leash. I've come to find out. I don't know if I've seen any of his bad work, though. So I don't know how he is when he's like not on his game. But
wait, you say James Gunn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll tell you one. Scooby-Doo. Both Scooby-Doo films were written by...
That's right.
Yeah, James Gunn wrote Scooby-Doo 1
so
and Scooby-Doo 2. To be honest...
I told you he was on a leash. He couldn't...
Yeah,
he couldn't
literally, the dog
if it was
was on a
R-rated,
leash.
it would have been great.
I'll be honest with you. I really loved those Scooby-Doo movies. Like,
really?
I remember, I loved them.
I saw the first one as a kid, but I didn't see the other one.
Well, the second one actually was more of what the fans wanted. It had all the classic characters in it, like the Miner 49er, he's in it. That was pretty cool. But, are they good? No. But,
sure.
I'll tell you what, I love those movies so much that when those came out in theaters, mind you, like
that's back when crap was just everywhere.
So bad. Like, oh my gosh. But I don't know, like they had charm to him. Like, it was definitely James Gunn movies.
Sure.
He didn't have the budget to work with. He didn't have the talent to work with. I don't even think he was fully talented yet, but I mean, it's definitely James Gunn films, like both of them. But I love those movies. But if you're talking about work that's no good, like that would be considered. That'd be considered one of them. But I mean, Peacemaker was a very good time for him to show the flaws in his writing, and he was still really good. You know what I mean?
For real, like just something about his style I really, really connect with.
He loves his classic music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. The way he uses music is my favorite part about him, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he he actually writes that into his scenes, which is really cool. Like, he knows exactly what the song's going to be. And that's just really cool. And then, like, not everything is super dark and gritty. And I think people grew out of that style really quick when DC just did only that. And now they've flipped. Marvel's starting to do more dark and gritty, while DC is doing more colorful stuff and more lighthearted. Not like... Okay, Marvel can get carried away with their humor. Obviously, we all know that. But, like, DC, at least with James Gunn stuff, like, it's found kind of like an in-between, I think.
Yeah, I think so, too. Interesting... box office story about the Joker. The Joker movie played by, what's his name again? I forgot.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. Fantastic actor. Mm-hmm. But funny story, so that movie went on to make $1 billion. Again, this blows my mind. Not because I didn't like it. I loved it.
Sure.
But DC had no faith in that movie. So what they did, I think the budget was...
You can feel it, too.
Yeah, I think the budget was like $30 million, which is really low for a superhero movie. So the director, he's like, okay, this is what I got. This is what I got to work with. I'm willing to bet $20 million of that went to Joaquin Phoenix. But what ended up happening was, because DC had no faith in the movie, they outsourced the budget to it was 2 or 3 other studios. So those tiny studios, what they ended up doing was they put most of the money in the budget. And I have to look up how much it was, but it was a good portion. I think like 60 or 70% of the movie's budget came from those small studios, not Warner Brothers. And the deal was they get most of the cut of what the movie makes. So the movie made $1 billion, and it blew Warner Brothers' expectations out the water. So those tiny studios that put forth most of the money got most of that profit.
That's crazy.
And I was like, DC, y'all are so stupid.
Honestly.
Joker's the most marketable character.
What tipped me off that it was going to be good was probably because Joaquin Phoenix himself, if you read kind of what he thought about the movie prior, he's like, he only accepts roles that he believes in or knows are going to be really, really good.
Yeah, just like I remember during that time, I was looking at box office every day, looking at DC's reaction to everything. Batman v Superman came out, didn't make $1 billion. It made close to it, but they wanted $1 billion. So when it made $800 million, well, that's so low. They flipped out. They started reshooting all the movies that were made. And then they started canceling stuff. They started blah, 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 blah. I don't care what Zack Snyder says, they fired him. Like, I know he had a tragedy, but the tragedy happened way before Justice League was in production. And he stepped, I'm putting air quotes here, he steps down for a family tragedy. Sucks, tragedy was terrible, but I do not believe for 1 second that he stepped down. I do believe they fired him.
Yeah, most likely.
And so anyway... that killed their faith in Joker, and so then they're like, okay, well, we can't spend all this. $30 million is nothing. Yeah. They're like, oh, we can't spend all this money. I'm sorry, it's nothing in regards to how movies are made. Like, when we're talking about a movie's budget, $30 million is really low. I don't have $30 million to throw at something, so I can't say.
I do, I just choose not to.
Yeah. There's I put all that money into the studio we're in.
I made a house of dollar bills.
Yeah, just waiting for it. Anyway, so... Yeah, I'm just watching them and how the movie made $1 billion, and it's like when it crossed the $1 billion mark, that's when that story came out. Like, yeah, they actually outsourced that whole budget, and they had to give like 60 or 70% away to these other tiny companies.
That's crazy.
And they barely profited off of it.
I'm gonna ask a question. What do you think? It's very broad. Makes a successful.
I like broads.
Film. From like a viewer's perspective, not necessarily a critic perspective, but like a viewer perspective. What do you think is success?
So there's a really good video by Red Letter Media. It came out a long time ago, like 2016 or 17. They talk about how a movie's budget, there's the actual budget to make the movie, and then times 2 for marketing. So you get a movie like Batman v Superman, $250 million budget, times 2 for marketing, so that's like $500 million. So they were expecting $1 billion. So
to me, it's successful on like a personal level. Like if you can get like a whole bunch of people behind something, to me that's a success.
Here's a good example. You got Morbius, flops, right?
Yeah.
It flopped hard, and it sucked. But it kind of developed a cult following over time for the memes, because the movie was so bad that everyone's joking about how, air quotes, great it was. Like, this is a great movie. Like, oh, it's so it's so good.
And then someone was like, we can profit from that.
Exactly. So it flopped twice. It's a failure. It's a failed movie. Now it has a cult following. Now I still wouldn't say successful.
So for me, I would say obviously if it makes money, real world terms, it would be successful.
Successful, yes.
For me though, I like to think of it. Did the movie succeed with what it was trying to do?
Sure.
Did the message make sense? Did it hit home? Did everything work together? There's a lot of movies that just don't get exposure.
Right.
Ever. And they're great films.
That's right.
And just because they don't make money doesn't mean they're not successful in my eyes. Because, honestly, they're great. A great example for me is a movie called Hero, which is, I'm going to say, the most underrated film ever. Fantastic film. It's about the unification of China, basically, like a historic, ancient Chinese warfare. And, some of the most creative imagery I've ever seen. Choreography was amazing. Kind of James Gunn-like production style. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was again, one of the best movies I've ever seen. And no one knows what it is. It's been on Netflix for years and years.
I would say I've never heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. Some people have, but eventually you'll find someone, and then if you find someone, they're like, oh yeah, that was a great movie. Yeah. So but it didn't get a great amount of exposure, at least not in America. In China it may have, but I just don't it's such a cop out, I think, to rate movies by just by financial success.
Yeah,
that's true. But what about the emotional part? What about the non-satirical side?
Yeah,
to me, I really respect it when a director / writer can create the film they want. It could be a terrible film by my standards, or just a film I don't agree with. But as long as they can make it their own, and suits don't get involved, like James Cameron, obviously he's probably gone way over budget most of the time, or years and years and years and years of production. It's a nightmare when you're a production studio to go that long without releasing a film. But he got to do what he wanted. And to me, that's just almost inspiring. For instance, I have the same opinion about George Lucas.
I was going to ask you, you read my mind. I was going to say, so with your definition of success, how do you feel about the prequels then?
Prequels, I think, are...
Let's not get into the quality of the film. Let's just talk about
I think as a cultural success,
Yeah.
It took a while,
yeah,
but it eventually got there because people started to realize what he originally wanted to do. I'm not saying he's a genius for everything makes sense. A lot of things were stupid. Yeah, he's a genius, but for
let's get that. Let's establish that.
There was a lot of stupid things.
Let's not talk about
the
prequels.
I don't think he's a great... I don't think he writes dialogue very well at all.
Right.
I say he's a great writer. I think he's a good world builder.
Yeah.
Great at world building and philosophy. He's really good at that stuff. When it comes to dialogue and execution, he falls on the flat.
Right. So with that out the way.
Yeah. But I have to respect, and this is the reason, George Lucas is the reason for this. He made the movies he wanted from beginning to end. 4, 5, and 6, even more so. People kind of got in the way of that. 1, 2, and 3, he made pretty much himself. I think some people took credit for certain aspects, but for the most part, all those really stupid decisions, or the really silly ones, the wacky ones that everyone loves now, was all him. And he got to tell his story.
Vision.
Exactly. It was his vision. He got to tell the story from front to end. And I respect that.
I do
and then
too.
you look at the
I've
sequel
grown to
films
respect
where
that.
it's nothing but suits.
Yeah.
So
Right.
to me, yeah, cultural success is almost as important as financial success. Obviously not when it comes to your job, but like
Yeah.
when
I
you're
mean,
making a footprint, in
Right.
culture, I would rather be remembered, than something that's just
I
making a lot
agree
of
with
money.
you on that.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
The like especially when Kenobi came out,
Sure. Yeah.
people started going back and saying like, man, the prequels weren't that bad. Like we got like everyone who's hating on Hayden Christensen now is praising him because of how he did Darth Vader and Anakin again. Like everyone for whatever reason forgot how the prequels were as films.
Well, then
and then started liking them.
I think Clone Wars had a big deal with, or had
yeah, you're probably right too.
so much to deal with it, and it was Dave Filoni, again, one of those people who respected George even during the prequel era. And he showed a lot of people, hey, like, there's actually a lot of good stuff here. No, there's not. No, there really is. And George Lucas actually had a good amount to do with Clone Wars. Like, he was right next to Dave Filoni, mentoring him, which is just, it's really cool how they built this legacy together. And now it's extending to Mandalorian.
Right.
From the same people who did Clone Wars, Dave Filoni has a hand in it, and Favreau, but like...
Yeah.
From that same legacy. And now there's referencing stuff from Clone Wars in Mandalorian. There's characters in there now.
Yeah.
And that all started from the prequels. Like,
Right.
there was a gold mine there.
I agree. Like, I mean, if we're talking the prequels on their own, like,
Do
I like him as movies? No, but they laid a very good groundwork or framework, whatever you want to call it.
Again, he's a great world builder.
Right.
And that's just amazing to me.
For all these really
As
cool
far as
ideas.
the films go, I only like the third one, really. I think
Right.
the third one is actually a good film. I will say that.
Anakin, you've changed.
The acting, obviously, needs some work. But to be, like, literally, I loved it as a kid. That was my favorite Star Wars movie.
You're so beautiful.
And even to this day,
only
I
'cause
still
I'm
think
so
it's a
in
good
love.
film.
No, it's because I'm so in love with you. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
Well, you get the script over there?
No, it's so quotable.
What's that? A jar of sand?
What's that in the sand over there? Is that the script?
That's why you didn't touch it. No. So, but yeah, that's my little Star Wars rant. But it goes back to cultural success. Like, there are people who are diehard fans of the prequels now that weren't before, because a lot of people got behind it and said, hey, there's actually some good stuff here.
Right.
Let's just focus more on it. And now, again, everyone's seen Mandalorian. Everyone loves Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, absolutely. I'm
yeah.
excited for the third
Let's go
season.
back to like, DC.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, we got sidetracked.
Yeah.
Oh, my God,
So-
it's been 85 minutes already.
DC versus Marvel. I mean, like, even Marvel. I don't love every Marvel film, and not every Marvel film is done.
especially not recently.
Yeah, not every Marvel film is done great, but like, there's some people who, I mean, mostly younger people, but will just watch every single one and love every single one of them.
Right.
Like, I can't deny that. Like, even if it didn't do very well, I'm pretty sure there's some people who loved Black Widow, for instance, who absolutely cherished
I
it.
haven't met one, but sure.
But sure, let's go with that. There's people out there.
I'm sure.
And I'm like, I have to like give some respect to that. Now, again, Marvel's a little bit more cut and dry suit action, so it's not one mind going behind everything. That's why I'm excited about James Gunn. I'm trying to get to the point. James Gunn, I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
Yes, he has executives to answer to, but I like it being behind one vision.
And excuse me, Kevin Feige, he's the head of Marvel. Like it, and it's been clear when Ant-Man came out. Everything before Ant-Man was run through a committee.
Yeah.
And whenever Ant-Man came out, that's when the committee was dissolved, and it was all Kevin Feige in charge of it. And when there was a clear difference when he was in charge, because the Age of Ultron was such a generic, you could tell there was big wigs messing with the movie. But then when Kevin Feige took over for good, that's when the movies really, I thought, just started getting so creative.
Ant-Man was my favorite Marvel movie, actually.
Yeah.
It's the smallest one. Get it?
Also the smallest profits.
But legitimately, like, and then there again, smallest profits, right? Yep. But it was my favorite of the Marvel movies. So like, it did what it had to. It did what it had to do. I don't think it was a bad film. It was funny.
I liked it a lot.
Action packed. Like, it was small, but like, it was contained. It was focused. That's what I love.
I love box office, guys. Sorry, I know that was a whole 30-minute talk about that, but I could do it forever. I love box office. Speaking of that, though, while we're on the subject of movie universes and fighting Marvel, Sony's Spider-Verse, dude. Like, I already talked about Morbius. That movie sucked. I was so bored. I fell asleep. I don't normally fall asleep during movies, but I was working night shift at the time, and I was so tired.
Yeah.
But Yeah, that movie was terrible, and they're coming out with Kraven the Hunter. Now, last I checked, Kraven the Hunter in the comics, he's hunting like animals. Like he's a Spider-Man villain, and they're trying to build a universe on Spider-Man villains over at Sony. They let Marvel use the Spider-Man character, and they let him use the villains, but they are also trying to build their own universe. You got the Venom movies, Morbius, Kraven the Hunter coming out. Well, what I was reading was Kraven's supposed to be like a vegan, or like he's like an animal protector. I was like, you already got the fundamental aspect of the character wrong. You know, sorry if I yelled into it, but I'll fix it later. But yeah, I was like, dude, like, what are we doing? Like, Morbius sucked.
Well,
Venom.
Sony. I get it. Sony, from a company perspective, will never give up their IPs. Like, why would they ever give up the only thing that's keep them relevant in the superhero world? But
originally, they made an offer when I was reading the third before No Way Home came out.
Yeah.
They offered like, we'll give you back Spider-Man for like $4 billion, and I was like, I mean, there's just no way. Like for one character,
I think they should have done it. To be honest.
Oh, I'm with you.
Like, literally put this to bed forever. Yeah. Like, the fact that... Remember that... I forgot what year it came or happened, but when Sony pulled Spider-Man for, like, 2 weeks and let, like, Disney kind of just, like, sweat it out. Like, that was crazy. No one's ever made Disney do that before. At least not recently. Like, I remember that. How do you do that? They pull it off because it's the only freaking card in their deck that they're like, oh yeah, this is going to win.
And I remember when that happened, I was sitting on the toilet and I was like, no, please. My pleasant morning ritual turned into hatred and pain. It hurt. Man. I was in pain that day.
That was crazy. Poor little Tom Holland didn't know if he had a job or not.
Yeah. Oh, he had a job. There's no way they would have redone it. So, yeah. But, you know, honestly, I think the more movies that flop, from Sony's side, I think they'll be in a worse position to negotiate with Marvel, because if they're going to keep pumping out Morbius level trash, and then they're going to be like, Marvel, you know, here we've laid our cards out. You know, you better give us. How well
did Spider-Verse do?
Spider-Verse did really well.
Yeah, really well.
You know, they're splitting the next movie into 2 parts, so I think they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, to be honest, honestly.
Yeah, so Spider-Verse did really well, but that's it. Like, in the past couple of years, like, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was terrible, and it failed. And then Morbius. The Venom movies are doing okay, but I think the second one didn't make as much as the first one, so it's already kind of dripping down as far as box office is concerned. You know, the more terrible films they pump out, the easier it'll be for Marvel to buy Spider-Man back from them. So, if Sony's trying to hold on to the Spider-Man IP to make their own universe, and they just keep making failure after failure, they're going to be in a lot less position to strong arm Marvel. You know, so Marvel Studios. So
slightly changing the subject. I think this is okay if we just keep it like a movie, honestly, talk episode, because I'm getting really. There's a lot of depth here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to know, I think you told me before, what's your opinion on the Dune movie?
It was okay.
Okay.
I haven't read the book. I had a good conversation with a buddy of mine from college.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, dude, the Dune book's phenomenal. And he said, like, from that perspective of reading the book, he's like, the movie was so boring. That's what he said. I thought it was fine. It's been compared to Lord of the Rings and space or whatever.
So, like, yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't getting Lord of the Rings vibes. I was getting, like, epic vibes where it was clearly based on a big world. But I wasn't nowhere near as invested as I would have been in a Tolkien
I feel like
IP.
That was just the most successful manipulation ploy ever. Like, everyone I talked to about that movie was like, this was incredible. Even my sister, who hates sci-fi, or just doesn't really like sci-fi, loved this film. And I'm like, okay, well, it better be good. So me and my friend, we bought tickets. I rarely go out to the movies, made a big deal about it. And I was like, I've never felt like I've wasted money before at a movie. But, like, I can't stand a Dune movie. I cannot stand it.
I mean, I don't disagree. Like, I liked it, but it didn't blow me away.
No, I didn't like it. So, like, I feel like the
contrast to last week's episode.
Yeah, honestly, no, complete opposite. Like, the choreography was bad, the effects were whatever, and the director, whoever, freaking has like a fetish for freaking premonition, like the foreshadowing scenes, like, just showing scenes of the next movie. Like, you like that because it's the entire freaking film. Like, I don't know what people like about it. That's why I don't know. They're like, "Oh, it's the coolest thing ever." You know, it's really, it's like Star Wars. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a big desert.
What a hypocrite.
What a hypocrite. No.
Avatar 2 has the same problem.
No. This is people
There's
walking
literally
in
a scene
desert.
where a character asks, like, hey, character, what's my purpose? And then she gets sucked away into the next film.
No. Okay. Literally, though. Okay, so they're just... Okay, after probably the first half an hour, 40 minutes, it looks like it's going to be interesting. Yeah. Then, like, the main characters get booted out of their house, and then they're walking in desert for the rest of the 2.5 to 3 hours.
Sorry, minor spoiler disclaimer.
They're just... I don't freaking care.
I'm kidding.
I don't freaking care. Yeah. Don't go see this movie. Don't give me your money. They're just walking in desert. And then, like, every scene, the main character, he has the power to see in the future, I guess. They don't explain it. He can just see in the future, and he always just sees this one girl doing something, and that's it. And they do it, like, 30 times in the film.
I know.
I'm just like, what is going on? When's the film start? And then at the very end, credits. You know, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
As soon as it starts getting interesting, I'm like, what a big manipulation. They just want to sell the next film. Like, I don't get it. Why didn't they make this film itself?
Well,
Nothing.
I'm willing to bet, because the flash forwards were... I haven't read the book, but I'm willing to bet that it was very similar in the book.
Sure.
The book is probably a bunch of flash forwards and premonitions and visions of what's going to come later.
Sure.
That probably just doesn't transfer well into a movie. Now, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read the book, but I could say, like, if I read it, there's probably all that stuff that you don't like in the movie.
I apologize if I didn't sound very intelligent with my arguments. More,
right.
I was just like, oh, this is stupid. I didn't get it. But I was just so angry with it.
I understand.
And then I came out of the movie, and we both had the same opinion, me and my friend. And we're like, are we by ourselves in this? I don't get what people like. If you like it, please explain to me why.
Right.
I need a reason to like this.
I didn't like it in the fact that, like, man, I cannot wait for the next movie. I was like, well, you know, because I like you, I had it built up to me from a bunch of people that don't know how a good movie works. Right. And then I come out, I was like, you know, I mean, I didn't hate it, like, it wasn't, but it wasn't like, I thought it was competent, that, like, that was a movie, you know. And then I walked out thinking, like, wow, they're gonna make 2 more of these, like, you know. So okay, I love my dad, but he walked out. No, I asked him, hey, did you see the new Dune? He's like, no, absolutely not, because I like the original better. I was like, Dad, the original was like, it was still based on the book, you know what I mean? And it's not considered a faithful adaptation, you know what I mean, of the book. I said that the new one's based on the book. Like, you know, I was like, I don't know what you're holding on to here. Anyway, it was so interesting to me. I'm going to say dumb. That was dumb to me. I didn't like that perspective. Like, no, I'm an original.
You should give everything a chance. Wait for the second one. Maybe he looks great.
I can wait. I've been waiting.
Jason Momoa. Well, that was wasted.
Oh yeah, he was in it, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was.
Actually, I think he was the only character that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, guess what? He's gone.
Yeah, I did like Dave Bautista. That's because I like him in general. I want every wrestler.
Every wrestler deserves.
Some big absolutely. Role. I think every wrestler who thinks they can act, give it a try.
I'm surprised Undertaker hasn't been in anything, honestly.
Yeah, but maybe he has no interest in it. I mean, that's true. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe he just doesn't want to act.
That's true. Yeah.
You know. I did want to bring up, since we're talking about Kraven the Hunter, Russell Crowe's going to be in it, and if you think about it,
he's going to be playing a crow.
And that's the end of this episode. Please don't join us next week.
That was my favorite hour. Full humor.
No. Okay. Russell Crowe is going to be in Kraven the Hunter. And now think about this real quick.
Okay.
Russell Crowe. Every failed universe that's come out has had Russell Crowe in it. So,
oh my gosh, right.
DC, right? He's in Batman v Superman. He plays Superman's dad.
Yeah.
Movie sucked. Failed universe. They've been recovering the past 8 years trying to fix that. The Dark Universe. The Mummy.
Yep.
Who plays Dr. Jekyll?
Oh my gosh.
That's right, Russell Crowe. And so Russell Crowe's the character that's supposed to be Nick Fury, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna get the Avengers together. I mean, the monsters together to form a team." And movie flopped. Now, Kraven the Hunter, it's the exact same movie where they're trying to build a universe. They're trying to establish an Avengers style team here. Russell Crowe's in it, and it's just like it's the same exact signs of failure.
You gotta wonder if people notice that, like. Well, we noticed it, but like, do people notice it? You know.
Well, I would consider myself a person, and I noticed it. So yes.
Like when you're putting together a cast.
Yeah.
I get it. You know, like you don't know rarely do you know exactly who's going to fill the role. At least supporting cast. I mean, from the very beginning, you really don't know. But it's like, I guess he's just very available.
Well, I mean, he used to be like, if
he's
you
a decent actor,
he's still riding on the success of Gladiator.
Right.
For whatever reason now, he's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, good movie, made him a big star. He looks nothing like that now. He's fat, he's old. And then what was the other stuff? Master and Commander. He's been in a lot of good stuff when he was younger and thinner. And now it's like, for whatever reason, these Launchpad movies that are supposed to launch a new universe, he's in it, and then it flops. So it's just like, I don't know what they're doing here. I guess he just wants a paycheck. Like,
again, he's a very well trained actor who's just on the market right now. Of course, Joaquin Phoenix was in the same movie, and he's actually not in a whole lot.
Well, Joaquin Phoenix is different because like he's very selective, and he takes every role super seriously. Yeah. Like, like you how skinny he got for Joker. Like, oh my gosh, ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, that's the difference, I guess. It's kind of like how how like The Rock is available for every film ever, or like,
he just likes being in movies. I don't think he even cares about what role. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if he cares that much about being the star or something. Like, I think he does, obviously. Like, he really wanted to be Black Adam. He was so excited. But if I'm being honest, I think he just loves being in movies. And I think he always just wants to say yes.
Yeah, I can't really think of a good film, actually, besides Gladiator that Russell Crowe has been in. I mean, obviously there are. But
No, there's plenty. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm with you.
What comes to mind immediately? No, I just think of all the garbage, honestly.
Yeah.
Or the Noah movie?
Yes. I mean, Russell Crowe was in that last Thor movie, and he wasn't that great in it.
Speaking of... Oh, we didn't talk about that, actually. The Thor movie.
The fourth one?
Love and Thunder. Yeah.
It came out in July. That's why we haven't talked about it. This podcast didn't exist.
I mean, like, up until this point, I'm surprised it didn't come into conversation.
Because it was just a movie that came out. Like, there was nothing to talk about. I was disappointed. Because the third Thor, Taika Waititi, director, fantastic director. Like, he's directed some really good stuff. And then... Thor 4 came out. I don't know what the deal is with their most recent Marvel movies post Avengers Endgame, but they've been so disappointing. And I'm hoping this new Ant-Man coming out next month, Phase 5, I'm hoping it blows me away. But we'll see. But it just wasn't that good. Like, it had the same writing style, but it wasn't that interesting. I was kind of bored.
Well, I heard they went. I didn't actually see it. I heard they went way too far on like the humor aspect, and I just kind of lost interest.
Well, all the Marvel movies do that, but this one, the jokes weren't funny.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the thing. Like, I'm okay with leaning into the humor because that's what made Thor interesting again. Was they took the guy that was super serious, super boring, no charisma.
Yeah.
And they flipped it and they made Chris Hemsworth. Like, now nobody wants him to recast. They don't ever want people to recast Thor.
Right.
It just like flipped the whole franchise, made it interesting, made it fun. Like, and then the fourth one, I don't know what happened. Like, it had this. It was the same type of movie with the humor but the jokes were just weren't that funny. And then they kept leaning into these jokes that were like not funny. I'm okay with that style because it worked. It worked with Thor 3, and then you get to Thor 4, and I don't know what he was doing. Like, I don't know if he got too confident in his jokes, like, oh, they're gonna love this as he's writing the script, and it just didn't work. So, yeah. Wow, that was a whole 47 minutes of talking about movies. This episode's working itself out. I love it. So, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on the movie industry right now?
Nah, let's shift gears.
I say box office, I could go on forever,
sure.
Like, honestly. Yeah, Kraven the Hunter, Black Adam. I think they're going to fail. Black Adam failed. I think Kraven's going to fail as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even going to be a good movie. I think it's going to be super generic. Even if it's not Morbius level bad, I think it's going to not be that good. So, talking about money, though, Party City, bro. Like, they filed for bankruptcy.
So, I heard about that. Here's my opinion on it. Haven't they, like, always been bankrupt? Like,
I don't know, because you get stuff like Radio Shack.
Well, I mean, like...
Radio Shack went out of business.
What I mean is more, not, like, quite literal, but, like... Every single time I've ever walked into Party City, I'm like, this is, like, what is this? Is this a warehouse that they just opened up to the public? Look, like, it always felt like it was just
you can go to any Party City. Any Party City. Maybe they only peak during Halloween. But you go to any Party City and can put together a fantastic costume right before a party.
Dude, I feel dirty going to Party City. Oh yeah, it's disgusting. Like legitimately, I don't know how they've gotten away with it for so long.
It's so weird.
What do you mean? No, it's like, like, okay, for instance, I know I'm like really going off on a weird tangent, but like
Walmart. This is why we brought this up.
Walmart, you walk into a Walmart, and like you can tell it's a Walmart.
Yeah.
It has a very distinctive look, and it's very clean typically. Believe it or not, nowadays, like it actually is more than like Target. Very red, vibrant. It feels warm. Also very clean. Party City, disgusting. I don't know why, but it always just felt like a torn down warehouse, and full of like these cheap costumes. You can probably get on Amazon.
Hey, you touched on it. I think it's another example of Amazon just killing another business.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, straight up killing another franchise.
And then just like I don't know. I've never had like happy staff. It's always been just.
That is important, but honestly, if you need something, you're going to buy from a place regardless of how you're treated. I think if there's a need for something you're looking for, if they talk to you like trash, you're still going to buy whatever.
I suppose that's accurate.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you.
Sure.
So, not this past Halloween, but the one before, I had a really bomb Halloween party. It was awesome, and my buddy. So that's when the Loki show had just come out, and if y'all aren't familiar, the Loki show, it's got like variants. So. The idea of a variant is like in other universes there's a weird version of Loki running around. So my buddy, we went to Party City. He grabbed this random Viking hat. He grabbed a cloak that wasn't even matching the hat. He bought this little sign that you see prisoners hold up that says like inmate 1 2 3 4 5 blah blah blah. So you could write on it. He wrote in chalk Loki variant 432 whatever, some random number, and he won my costume contest for guys. Like an hour before the party started, I went with him to Party City to go put this costume together. That's and funny. He competed for like best dressed guy or whatever for my whatever category it was, and he won. I was like, bro, like he took the least amount of effort and he just put together whatever he found the day of, an hour before the party started, and won. I was like, what the flip?
That's awesome.
So I don't know. Party City's been cool. I don't know what it is about ordering online where I'm just impatient and I want it now. So I want to get up and go to the store and grab what I'm looking for. But nowadays, like when I go to the store, I can't find what I'm looking for, and there it is on Amazon. So if I had just ordered it 3 days ago instead of taking 3 days to find it at a store, it would have been here by now.
I'm kind of in the middle, so I'm very much I do like walking into stores still. I think it's good exercise. I'm an old person. It's just fun to talk to people. Like I like because I used to work in retail, so I know who to talk to, when to talk to them. But I also like to just the human interaction. Like that's also fun. But
I agree with that.
I'm a lot more subscribed to the drive-up method now.
Yeah.
Specifically like with Walmart and Target. I think Kroger does it too, where like you just put in your order, drive up, boom, you're done. Like
you talking about curbside pickup?
Curbside, sorry. Yeah. Drive up is what Target calls it, but yeah.
That's cool.
And it's just like the most efficient way, I think, nowadays. Because like Amazon, you're right, you have to wait like a day or two. But like if you just really don't feel like shopping, you're in your pajamas maybe. I don't know, just like drive over. It's super easy. But I think it is important to still go inside a store to look at everything yourself.
Try something on to see if it fits.
Maybe there's a defect on the shelf. You wouldn't know. So there is advantage to it. I guess I've just never been much into costumes then. I'm sure it's great.
Oh, I love costumes.
Really?
But I'm putting together a costume for the Renaissance Festival, which
sure.
I doubt any of our audience is going to be out of this little town we're in. But Renaissance, bro, like I'm putting together a medieval Mario costume. So it's going to be the same colors of Mario, but it's going to be old time like Renaissance style.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put the Mario patch on the hat with the feather coming out of it like a medieval time, Anyway, I'm excited about it. I'm putting it together. It's not going to be cheap, but I'm excited.
Sure.
Do you have any major plans this year? What are you looking forward to this year?
Oh, this year?
Yeah, I mean, we're already kind of halfway through the first month. So
I'm going to my first metal concert at the end of this year.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Wait, have you've been to concerts before though, right?
One.
Just one. What band was that?
You're gonna make fun of me hardcore.
Is it Newsboys?
No.
Okay. What is it?
Whit Lamer.
And that's the end of this episode. Join us next week when I have a new host.
No. Okay, it was a Skillet concert. But like Skillet was only one of the bands.
Skillet,
yeah.
You know, I only know that. Is that called Monster? That song by Skillet?
Yeah.
That's the only song I know, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't actually listen to them?
No. So there's nothing to make fun of here.
Okay, well.
Oh God,
Skillet
this podcast is spiraling out of control.
Skillet was the cool one.
I'm really excited for I'm trying to get it done this year. It's getting really hard because I'm still looking for a roommate. So I was going to be able to put $1,000 toward it, but now I'm only having to put like $400 or $500. But I want to go out of the country this year. That's my goal. So I got a decent chunk already saved for it. But I need to get on that passport thing because it could take longer than I think to get it. Yeah. But I want to go to Norway. I really want to see some mountains. You know, I think it would just be fun. You know, like I'm single. I got nothing going on. I make a decent amount of money, so I'm trying to put it towards something, build up towards something. If for some reason I don't get the passport thing sorted, which I should, but like my backup plan is to like go to Vegas, like go somewhere I've never been to. It's really flashy. Like I want to take a good trip. I got nothing going on right now in my life that'll restrict me from doing it. So it's like, why not? Why not travel just a little bit? I used to hate traveling.
Yeah, I'm more than likely going to Vegas this year, actually.
Really?
I went last year. It's a work trip, but it's like an annual work trip. So more than likely I'll be going.
And you work for a church. So it's like interesting. How much can you get into in Vegas on a church trip? Church business trip.
We're
gonna have to cut this whole section out.
Let's not get into that.
No, I'm kidding.
But no, I walked away with more money than I had. Just saying.
So did you actually get to go gamble and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's really cool. So how you did well? You said?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like better than the other guys. The other guys all lost money.
Yeah. So yeah, just the fact of you winning, you walked out.
The interesting thing is, again, I say work trip. It was like we went to conference for like production. I work in production. That's what it was for. Gotcha. And it's called NAB. It's every year, and they always hold in Vegas. So we were there, and we had like one of my buddies got us a deal in a hotel. We stayed at the Bellagio, so it's one the big fountain, which was really cool. But yeah, going back to like the casinos and such, I thought I had an addictive personality. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to get super addicted to it. I'm never going to stop. I'm going to lose all my money, right? And probably pour into my savings. Turns out I actually am pretty reserved. Like, I started winning a lot, like really well.
Yeah.
And then like I just walked away. My friends lost like at least $200.
Well,
you know?
I can see where the addiction comes in, personally. So I used to go pretty frequently to WinStar World Casino and Resort. And my first time at WinStar, I spent like $1,000 for the whole thing. The room, the girl I was with, I gave her money to gamble with, and I won enough to make my money back for the whole trip.
Wow!
Like yeah. So the first time I won like $900. But then over time, I started winning like $2,000 consistently every time I went.
Wow!
And it was getting so good to the fact that I was like, man, I'm about to quit my job. Like this, what am I doing? Like, now lately I haven't won since then to make that kind of money back.
Sure.
But I could see how it gets addicting. But I think when I was on that winning streak, I was starting to get bored. It started to actually get like a job where I was spending 8 hours at the casino.
Sure.
I made my $2,000, and then then I went home. I was just sitting there bored, like hitting the button over and over. And ironically, I won it. Did you play slots or did you play a game?
No, I only played. I think I played slots like once or twice, but I played like the horse running game a lot, and I played blackjack.
Gotcha.
Like digital blackjack.
One of my buddies I went with, he won $100. He's like, I'm cashing out. I'm taking that $100.
Sure.
Bro. But at the time, I was like, bro, that's chump change. I keep winning $2,000. You need to keep playing until you win for real. You know
I just wanted to be the only one who walked away with my friends group. To say I won something.
That's fine. Even if you took that penny, you want to penny, you would have.
But to get back to my, again, I thought I had an addictive personality, but apparently, I don't think I do, because it was my first time we actually tried cigars, so we got some cigars there.
Oh, love cigars.
And like
suck those down.
I was like, oh crap, here we go. I'm gonna try, gonna get addicted. And I'm such a dork. Okay, so I'm 24, but I'll still text my mom and be like, hey mom, just so you know, I'm gonna have a cigar. Are you okay with that?
Oh my gosh,
dude,
I realized you were a dork whenever we tried to move in together.
Tried. Oh boy. Yeah. So, anyway, I moved out. Okay, eventually I did.
Yeah.
So
doesn't help me at all.
So anyway, I tried a cigar and I actually liked it. And then I tried a second one and I was like, that's enough. So like a bunch of my same friends, they have like a usual cigar night. Well, we'll just like hang over at my friend's house and play pool and just smoke cigars. I'm the only one who doesn't smoke. Not because like I can't stand it. It's more like I just don't desire to. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with like going a little deeper, drugs. I just don't have a desire to do drugs. Any kind. Sure. I don't desire to vape. I don't desire to do all that stuff.
I tried vaping. I couldn't do it.
I even drink a little bit, but I don't desire to get drunk. Like, it's just not.
I wish I could say the same thing.
So, and my friend actually brought up that it might be because, well, there's just like certain, I don't know what it's called, certain gene that people have. Like, if they don't get addicted to like stuff like coffee, they're probably not going to get addicted to like things like cigars or gambling or whatever. It's just like, I don't know what it is, but like, I'm not a coffee addict. I'm not a soda addict or anything.
Yeah, I mean, you do take care of yourself physically, I'd say. But like my thinking is like, when you did a cigar, did you not feel anything from it? Nothing like that.
Like you talking about like a minor high?
Yeah, you didn't feel anything.
Not that I remember.
Okay, dude, like because I get those every time. No, I don't inhale them. That's one thing. It actually goes through your cheeks and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
And it feels phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that, then I guess you wouldn't really know. And like I don't smoke them all the time.
Sure.
Because I don't think I'm addicted, but I do like the way they taste. I like the way they feel.
I do actually. Oddly enough, I like the way they smell. I don't like how it sticks to you for 3 days, but I do like the way they smell.
See, that's one thing. I'm with you. They smell amazing. I actually don't even mind the smell of cigarettes, but I understand why people don't like that. But I like it too. I like cigarette smelling. But anyway, I don't have that problem. It doesn't stick with me longer than the next morning. You know what I mean? Like,
really?
Yeah.
I've like washed my entire outfit in because I'm just so in. Okay, so again, we're playing in a garage pool for like 3 hours, and everyone's smoking a cigar.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Well, I've gone to cigar lounges too, where that's all that's everyone's.
Really?
Yeah, and
I've gone to. Do you go to like that one by Cabela's?
I've been there. You're talking about World Cigar?
Yeah.
Yes, or maybe it's Cigar International. I forget. But yeah, I've been there.
Cigar International. Yeah, we've been there a couple of times. And yeah, I have a worse experience when it's in a garage room. But yeah, let me tell you about that place. This is going to be funny, okay? I have two really...
Better be. Our audience is counting on this.
I have two... No, this will be funny. Two really, really incredible experiences. So, first time we went, there was this waitress there, and she's still there. I'm not going to out her or anything. But, like, just kind of like, a little standoffish, just very quick, and kind of like...
mean?
A little mean.
Okay.
Yeah, you may know who she is. Yeah,
I don't. I can tell what you're talking about. I've dated some mean girls.
But she was acting perfectly normal to everyone else, and I bought a drink. And then with my card, and she was like, give me your card. And I was like, okay. And she took the card, and she put it down her shirt. And maybe some people are like okay with that. I've never been okay with that kind of stuff. It's happened to me before. I'm like, no. I don't.
Can you watch it, please, before you bring it back to my table?
Please. Yeah. And she comes back, and she reaches down, and she grabs it again. I'm like... Why did you have to do that?
Yeah.
That was a bad experience all another. But like, second bad experience, there was like a guy there who was like the most stereotypical old war vet ever. I don't even know if he was a veteran, but he claimed he was. We were talking about the pandemic, me and my friends, about like how it was in retail, because I worked in retail during the pandemic, and how like, I really saw like the best and the worst of people. And this guy, it's like in a movie. This guy in the far end of the counter or the bar looks over and he's like, the worst of people. You ain't seen the worst of people. Bleepity bleep bleep. Then he walks over, right? And he's like, let me tell you, Sonny, have you ever seen, it's going to get really dark. Have you ever seen a woman die right after giving birth in the battlefield? I'm like,
sir, what
war
are we talking about?
Don't you effing tell me, you effing whatever, like that you've seen the worst of people. I'm like, can I buy you a drink?
Yeah. Sir, what war are you referring to?
He goes on this real on tangent. He says like his wife left him, his son hates him.
I can't imagine why she would leave such a loving person.
He said that he's a lawyer, but also a vet. And
a
just
lawyer
like,
for what?
Like,
Did he do his own divorce?
What the crap,
in a family court?
And he's like, don't you effing tell. I thought he was going to punch me or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, just crazy.
No,
Such
okay.
a crazy
Can you
dude.
remind me? I might have missed this. How did he start talking to you?
He heard me say that he heard me talking about Target. I was like, oh yeah, when people are going over toilet paper, like I just saw the worst of people. Haha, right? He was like, don't you effing say that you saw the worst of people if you've never seen
I'm getting a good idea talking to you.
I'm like, have you killed someone, sir? Yeah. So yeah, every time I go to that place, there's always fun.
I'm talking about the Australian-American War.
Yeah, good
if you ain't seen a bomb strapped to a kangaroo and he goes hopping into camp, then I don't want to hear it.
There's so many fun characters. My gosh, in that place. So God bless him. God bless him.
No kidding.
At the again, it went on for like 10 minutes, and and eventually, he cooled down. He tapped me on the shoulder. He was like, "Sorry, man, I know you were having a conversation. I didn't want to butt in." I was like, "Goodbye now." I'm like,
"My God, you had it random." And this was at Cigar International.
Cigar International.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I don't have a reason to go there anymore.
Holy crap!
I did go there for cigars and good times. Now I don't need to go at all.
Now just cigars.
There's a really good cigar lounge by my house. They don't have the biggest selection. It got better. I will say. I walked in. I was like, hey, they got some good stuff here now, like variety. But they're super cheap, and I like it. It's a chill vibe, but
that's good.
Yeah, it's like right up the street from my house, so it's like that's where I'll be most of my time now.
I almost wish I liked cigars more, just because it's such a fun. It's fun socially.
Oh, 100%. Do you remember what brand you had?
No.
I was gonna say. Yeah. I know some really good brands that you should try. Which I always buy extras anyway, so you could borrow one of mine at some point.
Yeah,
I would love it if we did a podcast episode somewhere where we could just like light them up and go to town.
I'd be down for that. I don't mind them. I mean, I mind them, but not to the point where I wouldn't smoke one ever again.
Oh, yeah.
I have a friend who actually imported a bunch of Cubans. I mean,
people talk so much about Cubans.
He says that they're overrated. But,
I'm with you. I was sitting here like, bro, like who cares? You know, I mean, maybe back in the day when cigar rolling was like a skill. Now I don't know if it's a machine now doing it. I don't know. I just know, I was like, oh man, these are Cuban, and other than the novelty of saying they're Cuban, I really can't tell a big difference. Like, there's so many local stuff that I like. I don't have to worry about. Oh my God, was this out of the country? Oh my goodness.
Oh, I can tell by the way it burns.
Right, exactly. I can't tell a difference. So, I don't know.
This is a joke. Ben Shapiro versus Steven Crowder.
Oh, are they fighting? Mm-hmm. Okay, you're talking about that Daily Wire thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, story goes, and this is from my own research.
We're not going to lean either way, by the way.
I'm not a political guy.
We're just going to cover the story.
This is not a political podcast.
It's an interesting story, to say the least.
Yeah, so Daily Wire tried to hire Steven Crowder.
Back in,
I forgot his name.
November, I think, of last year.
Steven Crowder's like, this deal is insultingly low, $50 million.
He said it was low, but he also said, he brought up that there's a bunch of penalties in deal, essentially. So Steven Crowder is not monetized on YouTube. He has a subscription called Mug Club, that a bunch of people subscribe to, and that's how he makes his money. He doesn't make it off YouTube. Daily Wire's contracts say that he has to stay monetized, and if he doesn't stay monetized, then they would penalize him.
On YouTube or Daily Wire?
On YouTube.
Okay.
Well, I think on the Daily Wire, yes. But if his content...
would get him flagged, he'd have to take stuff out.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
But he already does it anyway, so it was a big deal. Essentially, Steven Crowder said, hey, there was an offer that was presented to me, and this is not acceptable, blah, 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 blah.
Well, didn't the guy who made the offer... someone in charge of Daily Wire, didn't he post a video reading the deal?
The very next day, he posted an hour-long video going over every single detail of the deal. And I actually watched most of it. So very, very transparent. And then the next day, Steven Crowder came out with a recording that a phone recording that he made talking to the same guy who owns Daily Wire, the CEO. He recorded the conversation without him knowing. And they're really good friends. So it was a blatant betrayal. It's really weird. I kind of see both sides of the argument, but then because Steven Crowder did that, he basically betrayed everyone on the Daily Wire, and Ben Shapiro went after him, and Candace Owens went after him, probably Jordan Peterson as well.
I'm not the biggest Steven Crowder fan, if I'm being honest with you.
I've always been kind of 50-50.
Right. And don't get me wrong.
He's entertaining, but yeah.
Setting politics aside, I'm not a big political guy. I think both sides of the party piss me off equally. Steven Crowder being one of them.
Yeah.
I respect his that series he does, Change My Mind.
Sure.
I respect it. He's built an interesting channel. He's successful. Talk about success again. I think he's successful. I mean, that's cool, but he's just not my cup of tea. I think how he handled the Daily Wire thing, if I'm just going based on what we just discussed,
Sure, yeah.
I think he could have handled it so much better. He could have been so much more professional.
Well, I mean, like, again, I summarize it, very briefly, but
Sure.
I think he knew what he was doing. Like, I think he's just trying to get, it's weird, but I think he's trying to get some sort of, like, viewership movement out of this. Like, why else would you betray your friends like that?
Yeah.
Why would you just open fire on your
Right.
comrades?
I mean, heck, if Daily Wire Plus reached out to us and said, we want to buy your podcast, I'd say, you got yourself a deal there, sir. I'll get political for that type of money. You know what I mean? Like, we'll talk about, you want to talk about Trump? We'll talk about Trump.
We'll sell that.
Yeah. You want to talk about Trump? We'll talk about it right now. Roe v. Wade overturned. Let's dive in. I'd put on an accent and everything.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I'm not even talking, again, taking the politics out of it, just from a business standpoint, how unprofessional.
I agree.
To be fair, Daily Wire did out themselves by creating that initial video. But then Stephen recorded a private phone conversation
with him
with a
again?
friend, like the CEO of Daily Wire,
yeah.
with one of his great friends who actually got, like, apparently he helped him get started, like, he helped Stephen get started in the very beginning.
Daily Wire is a new thing. It's not, I mean,
I think it's a conglomerate, a bunch of...
everyone was working independently.
Yeah, exactly.
Shapiro, Jordan Peterson...
Owens, and then they all got brought together and they would help each other out. Like first time that Steven Crowder got demonetized, like Ben Shapiro represented him, like, in court, which is like really cool. But like, so anyway, he goes after them. He attacks. The only response, the legitimate response, I think Candace Owens created a video, but then Ben Shapiro came out with a video, and he just like complete counterattacks, like just.
It's a mess, and it didn't have to be like, I don't like
what's
messes
going
like
on?
that. Yeah, I don't like it when it turns into a big mess like that. It just bugs me.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually kind of leaning on Daily Wire side. I think Steve Crowder kind of butchered how he presented that.
It seemed like a pretty good deal, and it made sense. Like a great deal, actually.
$50 million, you got yourself a deal, or whatever it was.
Yeah, then
it's more than I'll ever make.
He was guaranteed,
unless this podcast goes crazy, starts booming.
$100 million, thank you. No less.
What's that? You like us talking about I Am Jesus Christ? Well, I'm about to stream that game. Let's play it.
Gaming channel, let's go. Let us know if you would like a gaming channel.
Yeah, if you'll start paying my bills, I got you. I'll make whatever you want.
We'll go full time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That'd be so cool. Goals.
Do you ever wish you were big enough to have as much drama as Steven or Daily Wire or any of those people?
Drama? No. Yeah. I hate drama.
No, to have like, be relevant, like relevant. to be like, oh man, like these people are taking our side, people are taking their side, that might be fun,
Let me tell you about my last breakup. I was very relevant in that I got a lot of friends, and I tell you what, when people had to start taking sides, that sucked. That was horrible. Now, luckily, eventually, I feel like everyone came to my side. But,
yeah, look at that publicity.
But that little, you talking about publicity? That sucks. Like I hate drama like that. I've been in it.
I am, of course, joking, but not. But
let me tell you, it is not fun. Like, I don't know if that's what Steven wants, if he's trying to make it this big drama.
Probably won't. So.
And I can't handle that type of stress, dude. I can't. I want, like, with this podcast, I hope there's no drama. I hope it's chill, forever. I'm okay with this.
Well, thank you all for tuning in for another week.
Absolutely. This has been the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm so excited for the next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week. I can't wait. Yeah. If y'all have anything, please feel free to ask us questions or whatever. I'm down. This is a very chill process, and I think we've covered a lot of good ground today. I learned a lot about myself that I don't ever do a lot of self-reflection. So
sure.
Yeah. All right. Thank y'all for joining us. If you felt like the third wheel, then we did our jobs well. We'll see you next week.
Take care.